Hello, everybody.
Hello. Merry Christmas. Almost.
Almost.
We're nearly there.
So, welcome to the Christmas special of Whisky and Doughnuts.
Matt's dressed for the occasion, nice and festive,
I am wearing
whiskey,
which is what I regard as
no
Christmas.
doubt. After these 5 rounds, you will be wearing whiskey.
Wearing whiskey, probably. Yeah, more if all goes to plan, then yeah, hopefully. So we've got lots of kind of regular guys that we've recognised, and we've got some new ones too. So we'll just give you a little bit of housekeeping and a little bit of background on Whisky and Doughnuts. So my name's Matt. I'm the owner here at the Malt Room in Inverness, and
I'm Nicole, and I'm the owner of Perk Doughnuts, also in Inverness.
So, which seems quite a while ago now during lockdown, although it's not going away, it seems. We teamed up and decided to do Whisky and Doughnuts at people's door to try and cheer people up a little bit and just kind of keep our businesses kind of active as well, rather than just sitting there not doing anything.
Yeah, a little bit of fun as well. Sometimes you need a little bit. There's so much heaviness in the news and everything. You might as well have something that's a little bit
lighthearted.
Yeah.
So that's where it kind of we started it kind of here about. Well, it's about a year. Start of March was lockdown, was it?
Yeah.
So yeah, things kind of got a little bit back to normal a wee while ago now. So we're facing our lockdown, so it's quite nice to share a Christmas little kind of.
Yeah, actually, it's quite good that we've timed this in just before the cat.
I know, and you'll still be able to open them.
Yeah, but I think we're gonna stick with deliveries for a wee while. See how we go.
Yeah.
Footfall will be down.
Our hands are tied, so we're 3 weeks on the whiskey, I think.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Gutted about it. Yeah, not much you can do. That's the thing. There isn't anything you can do anymore, so you might as well stay positive about it. Like, what's the point in being miserable? I mean, everyone's in the same boat, as they say.
Might as well eat donuts and drink whiskey.
There should be a punishment actually for that. For saying
how many you can?
No, for saying key Corona words, like everyone's in the same boat or we're in this together.
Oh.
There should be a punishment for that because
we'll have a.
You have to down your whiskey if you say something like we're all in the same boat, or what are other ones? The new strain. The pandemic.
Yeah, the new strain.
The new strain.
The virus.
So we'll avoid that. But we're having a beer, anyway. Yep. Cheers.
Start if you need to go
on. So hopefully you guys all got your kits today. Basically the way it works, if I'll kind of describe, you've got your whiskies lined up 1 to 5. So we're going to go left to right as you're looking at it. So if you want to put the wee Christmas pudding thing with the green things on it. Holly. Yep.
Just like these ones in front of you.
Yep. Number 1, it's been a while. And number 2 is the one with the orange bit on top. Number 3, Santa hat. Number 4, Grinch. And then number 5, the kind of icing cream looking thing. You can tell Nicole does the donuts. I do the whiskey. So that's a really basic description because Nicole's going to go and tell us all about them. I think that's about it in terms of housekeeping.
I'm ready to start drinking whiskey.
Yeah, I think so. Cool.
And we've got the comments bar at the side as well, folks. So if you want to ask questions or you want to let us know what you love or you hate, or things with pairings as well, they're not always done to work exactly well because everyone's palate's really different. So some might contradict each other, but in that way work, or they might just be a kind of sort of basic go-to,
Yeah, so totally.
Just let us know what you think.
And don't feel you have to eat the whole donut in one go. We like to kind of mix and match and leave them at the end because the pairings are just a bit of fun, and there's definitely going to be ones that will pair up nicely with all the whiskies. So we've tried our best to try and think about it and try and pair them up.
Especially with the Christmas ones.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So that's I'm going to stop.
Let's just tell us about the first whiskey there.
Yeah.
How much whiskey have you had today?
I have had 1 pint of my favourite vitamin T, and this is pint number 2.
You've been rambling on here.
Well, the thing is, the keg needs finished because we're closed on Boxing Day.
There we go.
So I'm actually being efficient, as always. So come on, guys. It's just a lovely dram start, actually. So we are on Old Pulteney 12. So Old Pulteney 12 is probably one you've probably had before or maybe seen in supermarkets, but it's one of those ones that gets overlooked a little bit. And it's great value. Sometimes you pick it up for like 25, 30 quid in the supermarket, but it is a lovely, lovely dram. So spends 12 months in ex-bourbon casks. So you should get that light, delicate, vanilla, kind of creamy kind of thing going on. And Old Pulteney Distillery is just a cracking distillery. The distillery itself isn't called Old Pulteney. It's called Pulteney Distillery.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a weird one. It's one of the only ones that
Has it always been like that?
It's always been like that, yeah. It's weird to have the name of the bottle Old Pulteney, but then not the distillery's not called that. The distillery's called Pulteney, which a bit weird. But it's up in Wick. It's a cool little place. Very old school in style, kind of black cobbled streets. And 90% of their stuff goes into bourbon, and they have about 10% in sherry. Just very, very drinkable whiskey. Have a taste.
Lovely. And then the donut we've got. Oh yeah, cheers. Sorry, I skipped ahead of you there.
I know. See, who's out of touch now?
You're selling me on it. You see, I'm like, I want to do it. And then the donut we paired that with tonight is our mixed spices, so a Christmas pudding style thing. Nothing on the inside, but our glaze is full of sort of nutmeg, cinnamon, sort of 5-spice, sort of mixed spice. So it should be quite nice.
Looks great.
That sort of saltiness in the sea air. And we've just got me fondant holly on the top. Matt, what did you think it was?
I thought it was Christmas pudding.
You thought it was a Christmas pudding?
I panicked.
But that isn't a Christmas pudding.
I know.
You tell you to spend a lot of time in the kitchen, everyone.
I am actually very good in the kitchen, I'll have you know. Better than you, that's rank.
You cheeky bugger. Get off. You're not getting any more. I think that's delicious. I say so myself.
That is nice.
The cheeky Matt saying that to me, spending 18 hours at work yesterday.
Yeah, to be fair, you were at 5:30 in the morning, and then I was here bottling up till about 12 last night, maybe, or 12 at that, I think it was here. And then went next door, and you looked like you'd done a day's graft. Not that sounds rude, but
anyway. You insult my donuts, now you insult the way I look. Is there anything else you have?
But you'd been working hard, and you said you were there since 5:30. I thought, that's not too bad. What's happened to you? That's a baby shift. But no, it was 5:30 in the morning till through. So yeah, fair.
I think that works well together.
Super light, super easy going. Yeah, that's nice. I've not had dinner either, so this is my.
Same. It's dangerous drinking 5 drams and no dinner.
So how do you make the wee leaf things? Holly,
yeah. A holly leaf. With my hands. Yeah, just
cut them out.
Fun and icy. Cut them out, then roll the wee things.
Nice.
Yeah, I had to make hundreds of them. That was a good idea before, and I just
seeing them in your sleep.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So much green with the Grinch on that as well. But that's good. My eyesight's so bad. Can you read these comments?
Let's see. So we're in a slightly different setup tonight. So we are up in the new tasting room. So we're Ketka's going through lockdown 2. Looking forward to that. It's Mark Sweeney. Hello, Mark.
Hi, Mark.
Rob.
Chat away.
Stick to the drams, Matt. Happily. Yeah.
Thank you, Rob.
Hope there's a jammy bee in this lot, Fiona. Well, maybe.
Fiona.
Maybe.
Would I let us down at Christmas time?
So yeah, Old Pulteney's a cracking drum. I think it's just, I describe it as that sort of breakfast whiskey category. Just delicate. And they say there's a saltiness to it.
I get that.
I do, but I don't know.
What? It's not salty in the way like Talisker is a bit salty. It's a different, like,
I find that like softer and creamier, like loads more vanilla than the salty character. I agree, like Talisker is definitely more got that sort of coastal kind of briny saltiness going on.
Yeah.
I just think that's lovely as a sort of welcome tasty dram.
Welcome tasty dram. Well.
So
I'm ready for the next one.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. This is what happens. You get too excited and then we race through them. I'll be half an hour in and everyone will be falling off their seats. I guess it's Christmas, so yeah.
It's Christmas,
most people are probably, hopefully you guys are all finished up for Christmas, but most people have a few days left, I'd imagine. But who knows? Who knows?
We're all closing down on the 26th. That'll be it. Everyone will have a few weeks off.
I know. Okay, cool. So, dram number 1. I'm looking forward to 2, actually. I think this pairing is going to be nice, yeah. Whiskey number 2. Another whiskey you probably recognise. So, probably the first 2 are probably drams that, again, if you're a whiskey fan, you'll have had before. What I found over the years of drinking whiskey is that I actually kind of really steer away from stuff I recognise. So like Old Pulteney, Dalwhinnie, say your Glenfiddich.
I tend to do that now as well, actually.
You do, and then you actually go back to them and you see why they're so kind of popular. Because they are just a really, really good, consistent standard of dram. So Dalwhinnie 15, most of you guys everyone's sort of based up here in the Highlands, so you'll have all probably passed Dalwhinnie on the way down south. So probably about an hour and a half from Inverness, sort of on the way down the A9. Beautiful distillery, owned by Diageo, and it's just very, very well kept. Beautiful big kind of white walls.
You just come around that corner, it's like tucked away there.
Yeah. Yeah, such a random place.
I say tucked away, it's not really tucked. It's
it
sort of on display.
It is. I think back in the day it would have been tucked away, but now the A9's going through it, probably doesn't seem so hidden. But I think when there wasn't the A9 there, that would have been kind of really remote, really cold place as well to set up a distillery. But highest distillery in Scotland.
Yeah.
So
that's the fact I remember.
That is the one to remember. What that makes difference in terms of their flavour, not really too sure. The biggest probably thing that they recognise that worm tubs, and when they changed away from worm tubs. So in the whiskey making process, you need to, once the whiskey comes off the spirit still, you need to then cool it. It's a big boiling kind of, imagine a big kettle, the vapours over the top. And to turn those vapours back into liquid, you put it through a condenser. So there's like a shell and tube style, which is like an efficient modern one, or the old style one, which is, you might have seen them outside distilleries. They look like big jacuzzis almost, like big kind of big circle things full of water, with water kind of overflowing in them. So what happens is there's like a cold feed at the bottom, and it's constantly putting in cold water, and they are basically kind of look like kind of a big coil. And what happens is the vapor goes in and then interacts with the copper on the way down. So there's only about 16 distilleries left in Scotland who use worm tubs. The rest of them are all ways of cooling, but it makes a huge difference into flavour. So more copper interaction tends to lead to a heavier, kind of oilier kind of spirit. So Dalwhinnie did at one point change away. Then they thought their whiskey tasted absolutely crap. And then they swapped back to worm tubs, and they found that was what it was. Yeah. So there's loads of things, barley and blah 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 blah. Actually, even the condensing of vapors into liquid makes a huge difference. So I think that was a very technical answer. A few pints in and a dram. I'm quite happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, tick the technical box.
Yeah, I think that's me for the evening now.
Can we drink this now?
Sorry. Yep. Thank you. Keep me right. Yep. Cheers. Yep. Thank you. Cheers.
Ooh, I love that sound. See, that to me needs a bit of water. As I'm drinking it after the penalty. Sorry, I haven't told him about the donut yet. I'm getting too
I was like, I've done my part, waiting. That needs water. I'm like, you're not supposed to be talking about the water. You should be talking about the donut.
Well, the donut for this one is a chocolate orange. So we have a chocolate orange ganache made with fresh orange juice, zest as well. Actually, all of the toppings in this are vegan. So we make a vegan frosting as well. And vegan friendly, vegan dairy free friendly. This means we're using alternatives to make the things the same. And then a ganache. So that's our chocolate orange, rich chocolate, wee bit of it, sort of orangey orange on the top.
That is good.
Should be good.
You've redeemed yourself.
Oh, thank you. Just keep me right.
Yep.
I'm too excited. It's Christmas.
That is good. So how did you make that cream? Is it cream?
On the top, it's frosting.
Frosting.
So frosting is made from butter and icing. So we use vegan butter.
Right.
And melt it down. Whip it with icing. Whip it with fresh orange juice. And
when you say icing, is that like the ice and sugar?
Ice and sugar, yeah.
Right.
And then zest in some orange. Squeeze some fresh orange juice into it. And then just keep adding the ice and sugar and keep adding the juice until you're happy with the taste and texture and everything.
Very nice. I like that.
No problem.
It's a real saying. Great pairing, beautiful dram, Dalwhinnie. Yeah, I think that's a nice pairing. I do like that.
Do you know, the edge is coming off that now that I'm having a bit of chocolate with it. It's like the sweetness balancing it out a bit, you know? So
Dalwhinnie do, not appropriate this year, but I've not done it, but I've heard really good things that during the winter, I think they offer like free tours, like the basic tour is free. Or discounted tours. I've had a lot of people in the bar actually talking about it, and they do like quite an expensive like chocolate and Dalwhinnie pairing. Dalwhinnie's core range is really, really limited. So like most places will have like a 10, 12, 15, 18 multiple expressions. Dalwhinnie, I think, do a 15, a 30, and do like winters. Oh, actually, probably shouldn't say this, but I
It's
heard
Christmas.
I heard it's true, but
Oh.
Winter's Gold, the Dalwhinnie,
Mm.
which is like a non-age statement version. Apparently, that is from when they swapped away from worm tubs, and it's a non-age statement whiskey, and it's not very good. Compared to the 15, and it's like a white label. And apparently, if someone who was at the distillery spoke to someone who said that actually that was from when we lost our worm tubs, and the spirit is really just light and rubbish. So yeah, I get nervous about some non-age statement whiskies, and that is one of them.
Yeah.
But sorry, I've just slated them there. The good thing about them is
everyone from Dalwhinnie watching.
Yeah. The good thing is they do a lovely chocolate pairing, and we do a chocolate pairing in the bar. Apparently, it is excellent. So it's one of those places you can actually get to by train as well. So problem with going like distillery visits is
always has to be a driver.
Always got to be a driver.
I know.
And I'm never up for being the driver. So getting to the distillery by train is quite handy. So I was planning on through this year, but I don't think
anywhere's running.
I don't think so. Understandable as well. I
mean,
they're working distilleries. They're not, they're not designed for
social distancing and
like all the handrails and it's just not. It's just probably not worth it.
2-way systems.
Yeah,
and all that.
yeah.
Imagine Val Blair, like
totally,
these little places.
Totally, yeah, just silly. But I'm actually gonna have some more of that before we go to the next time.
You crack on. I don't know. The Palmy's winning me over. Those last two. It is creamier. It's definitely got that kind of more buttery finish.
Yeah, that
one. Me going back to my old whiskey days.
Yeah, no, totally.
So if anyone doesn't know, I used to work with Matt in the bar here.
Until you got sacked.
Until I decided to move on to better
my career.
Yeah, the grass was greener.
Give yourself the employment of
or more yellow in Perk Doughnuts. Yeah. You can get rid of me even if you wanted to.
To leave. Still hangs around.
Can you leave to run your own business?
Well, to be fair, it is very nice.
Still hangs around. Jeez, you're passionate.
I know.
I'm getting
it's been a while. It's nice having you next door in the terms of there's good coffee, good donuts, good toasties. The toasties are.
I know. I like a big toasty.
Chicken chorizo and the cheese one is my
go-to.
Should we do a toasty and whiskey now?
No, that sounds not so great.
That's the support you need from a friend. That sounds shy.
No, I feel like you need a sweet treat, Matt.
I know. I like donuts like this, but big ones. I'm an athlete. Remember, I don't eat.
Oh yeah.
I don't eat
a lot of this going on.
Aye, yeah. Speaking of, another rep due.
So yeah, people like the pairing. I think it's good. People can.
Nice.
Awesome.
Do you want number 3?
Yeah, let's do it.
This is quick fire tonight.
I know. Can't help it.
I know. So we've done some Japanese whiskey before. I wasn't sure. I know we've done Hakushu, but I couldn't quite remember if we've done this one.
No, I don't
think we have. But you guys will probably remember better than us. But I love Japanese whiskey. I'm a huge fan of it, and this is probably one of the most unusual Japanese whiskeys and a really, really interesting bottle. So on there we've got Nikka coffee grain. So there's a lot to talk about this bottle, so just cut me off when I get a bit too into it. But
how much is it to buy? That's what I'm intrigued for.
55 to 60.
Okay.
Yeah. So non-age statement, and it is made of grain. So there's a guy called Makataka Tatsuru who was kind of.
I'm surprised you could get that.
Yeah, no. He was regarded as the founder of Japanese whiskey. So he was the guy who came over to Scotland, studied chemistry, learned his trade in Campbelltown and other distilleries as well. Married a Scotswoman who went to Glasgow Uni, and they went over and helped set up Yamazaki. Who Suntory now own, which is probably regarded as one of, if not the best, Japanese distillery. He didn't own that. And they were making whiskey in a Japanese style. And what I mean by that is it wasn't peated, it was very light, it was very delicate. But Makataka wanted to make whiskey more like the Scottish way. So he then set up a distillery called Yoichi and made a peated Japanese whiskey. Then after that, sort of Nika came around, and he then decided to make this sort of style of whiskey. So this is in Miyagiko in Japan, and the interesting thing about this is the coffee still. So coffee is not as in your.
It's not made with coffee.
Not your style of coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Coffey. So the reason it's called a coffee still is a guy called Aeneas Coffey designed this still. So to make the first two whiskies we've tried are single malts. So they are produced in kind of pot stills. So you see them in distilleries and they kind of look like this, and they go up and they have a narrow neck, but they have like a kind of bulb at the bottom. And what happens is you put them in batch distillation. So, you put a batch in, it finishes, they get cleaned down, do it again. So this type of still is basically two columns side by side. You have an in and an out, and it runs constantly with plates sort of up it. So rather than putting in spirit that's made with malted barley, you can use spirit made with other grains. So in this case, it's corn, but you can use rye, you can use wheat, anything that can really produce alcohol. So the style of whiskey is very different. It comes off the still a much higher percentage as well. So like single malt will come off in sort of the 60s. This comes off at 97.
I didn't realize.
Yeah, really high.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens is with grain is sometimes grain can smell like Tipex. Like there's that real sharpness, but aged grain is really fruity and tropical. So this is like kind of tropical whiskey in a glass. I think it is amazing. I love it.
And for you that were sort of saying you get funny about non-age statements.
Yeah.
This is
totally. Yeah,
this is flip on that.
Totally. Yeah. I don't have an issue with non-age statement if it's good. So Ardbeg.
You can say that about anything.
No, totally. But no, Ardbeg are really good at it. So Ardbeg had like Reckon, Ukadao, Alligator. Like it's not about the age; it's about the quality of the liquid. Macallan, on the other hand, again, like I always seem to slate Macallan. I know, but they released that gold Sienna, Ruby and Amber, and it was just shit. Like it wasn't good, and they were charging big money for it. And just being, it didn't have old stock, and that was it. But this 50, 60 quid a bottle, and I think for people who don't like whiskey, maybe this is a total curveball, and it's just super sweet, super fruity. It's like tropical, this in the glass. It's lovely. Okay. So sorry, I'm totally going into a big Japanese whiskey hole there.
I'm enjoying that. And the jam one, the donut is the jam. So we've got my granny's jam recipe. And like I said, you want to have a little bit of jam at Christmas. It's perfect. So,
I think the sweetness will work well.
Yeah, I think the sweetness and the fruitiness will hopefully match in with that kind of tropical vibe you're talking about.
So it is sweet. Grain whiskey is sweet compared to malt whiskey. Kind of gets your mouth kind of watering. It's lovely. Well, I like the Santa hat.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Took me ages. Actually, the jam donuts are my favorite thing in the world.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I like donuts with stuff in the middle. Like the ones on top are nice, but I like stuff in the middle. That is a good portion of jam in there.
It's got to be big and jammy. That's where the love for donuts came from, was the jam donut. Before starting at Perk, it was always had an obsession with jam donuts. Absolutely mad for them. So I think I could make these by myself. Why don't I try and make these?
I didn't actually, I bit into it, but didn't get much jam there. So is this your grand's recipe?
Granny's recipe, yeah. So my granny's I think as most grannies are. Grannies just seem to be the best bakers in the world. Like everything grannies make generally are fantastic. It doesn't matter what it is. It's amazing. But granny's like this, just an expert baker, you could say, and all around everything expert. But she she kind of very kindly handed down the jam recipe to us in Perk. My sister used to work with me, and so the two of us were in making granny's jam. So it's always been very lovely. And she also gave us an apple recipe, an apple compote, and it's a good
nice.
I'll bring that one back.
That whiskey is so different. I just love it. I think that works nicely as well. Like there's sweetness of the jam, sweetness of the whiskey. I am a fan. What are people? Doughnuts dive bar, Ardbeg. Yeah, I'm an Ardbeg fan, Alex, too.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I love that dram. Great. Yep, it is. It is unusual. It is different. Grain whiskey is one of those things that I'd encourage people to go and look and seek out.
Because I've had grain whiskey that's not great.
Not great. Yeah, I know. Like for example, like a lot of blends, like White Mackay,
like
Famous Grouse, etc. The majority of that is made up of grain because the stills can run 24 hours a day. They don't need to stop. You can just keep putting in the input.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, and the grain is much cheaper as well. So compared to malted barley, which is quite expensive, it is a cheaper product. And most blends are made up of grain and kind of finished with a bit of malt for character. But that doesn't mean grain's inferior. Like you can pick up like 30, 40-year-old grains for, £100-200 maybe. Like I know that is still a lot of money for a bottle of whiskey, but when you look at a 30, 40-year-old single malt, you're looking at between five and thousands. Yeah, exactly. So the whiskey still sat in the cask. It's just made with a different grain, and there's almost that like wood pulp. Like bad grain smells and tastes like Tipex. Not that I know that, but it just doesn't smell good. But old grain goes into this really kind of tropical thing. It can go into like a wood polish kind of weird kind of taste. Just interesting. And it's just another arm of whiskey that I think in years to come it will never be single malt, don't get me wrong, but I think a lot of people will start collecting grain. I think grain will really make a mark in the whiskey industry for sure. It's just a different flavour. It's lovely.
Yeah, I like it though. I like the jam and the Japanese and jam. It's good. It's really good. Really tasty.
Do you reckon Japanese have ever had a jam donut with Nika?
I'm going to go ahead and say no.
Maybe
not.
Maybe not.
I'm going to write to them. Have you tried?
Japan in general.
Yeah.
Hello, Japan.
Just hold
Pen pal.
one email address to hold Japan.
Japan government. I have an idea. Post lockdown.
Japan all.
Yeah. The EU were fucked. So let's
now. These guys, I'm going to message them and say, have you tried jam donuts?
I mean, I'll get behind that.
Pay me to send you them over. I'll post you them.
Well, I've eaten all that, and that is my favourite donut so far.
I know, I'm actually just going to finish on my last bite here as well. It's good, eh?
Yep, it's a classic, but it works.
What's the crack? Is it this distillery, or is it all of them that use that special tree in Japan to make casks that are very tricky to do?
No. Why can I not remember that off the top of my head?
It's like,
it is. I know. Oh, that is so bad.
Come on.
Oh, Yamazaki. Mizunara. Mizunara. There you go. So, yeah, Mizunara is like an oak that grows in Japan. During the war, etc., they couldn't import American oak or European oak, so they had to deal with what they had, which was Mizunara. But as a tree, it isn't really that good for whiskey production because it's quite porous. It doesn't grow straight. It takes ages to grow. But it does put in a kind of interesting sort of herbal kind of tea, almost like flavour into whiskey. This has not been aged in those. Those casks are very, very expensive now. But it's an interesting cask if you ever see it. I know Chivas released a Mizunara release, but it wasn't really, I think it must have spent about a day in the cask. But yeah, I mean, Yamazaki Mizunara, you're looking at 4 figures a bottle, so it's just not. And I've been lucky enough to try it, and it is nice, but I don't think it's worth the money. I think it's very much a historic thing. It's very much.
It's got the hype tax.
It's got the hype, yeah. Like whereas there's so many good whiskies out there at the affordable price point that are not that. It's very much a whiskey fans tick box. Have you had a Mizunara cask?
But it's cool that they managed to craft that out of that tree. Like the craftsmanship is unreal.
Yeah, for sure. Right, this is the one I've been looking forward to most, actually. Yep. So Nika can go here. So, how's everyone doing? Don't know what I'm enjoying more, the dram or the jam. That's got a good tagline to it, Jennifer. I like that. Yeah, I like it.
Jam or the jam.
Do you know what? Every time you put a jam one in, people love it.
I know, you just can't beat a jam donut.
It's just a classic.
It's a go-to, isn't it?
Totally. So we are now. This is I just stand up for this one. This is the new Carnmore stuff. So it used to be Morrison Mackay, now just Morrison. Completely rebranded. So these guys are an independent bottler. You were there on that trip, were you?
Yeah.
Yeah, we
I
were
was thinking, I was like, up in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were lucky enough.
I used to work one shift every year at the Malt Room.
To try and get on the trips.
On the trips.
Yeah. Distillery visits, Christmas night out. Oh, I'll do a shift this week. You know?
Yeah, it's good to continue to be involved.
In the trips, yeah.
I bring fantastic banter.
And customer service?
And great customer
service, of course, yeah. The banter and the trips were prioritised over customer service there. Yeah.
No, but that happened. That comes because I'm so good with the customers, you know.
Right.
Remember?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
So yeah, independent bottler. So I know a lot of you guys are whiskey fans and have probably come across independent bottlers before, but for those who maybe haven't, don't be afraid of them. When I first kind of got into whiskey, I would look at independent bottlers and think, why does it say that's Glenlivet or Dalwhinnie or whatever, and it's not an official bottling? I thought, is it like a cheap knockoff of it? Is it like a copy one of it? But actually, what it is, have decided that they're not making their own whiskey, but they love whiskey and they would like to buy and sell casks. They've normally got really good teams who will sample casks and they will buy them from distilleries, a mixture of age. So it can be at age 0, which would be the cheapest, or they can buy them at age 10 or 15, and then they can mature them for a bit longer and hold them in their own warehouses, and then bottle it whenever they want. Sometimes they can't bottle it under the official distillery name as part of the deal, because the distillery doesn't necessarily want single cask, Glenlivet going out cheaper than they would do, so they make you call it something else. So it might be the Secret Speyside, or maybe the Secret Island, or something like that. But this Carnmore is a Mannochmore. So 2007 Mannochmore from.
Where is Mannochmore?
So Mannochmore is just south of Elgin. So on your way to sort of Rothes, it's one of the wee cluster ones there. So it's a distillery that opened up in, I think it was 1960s. Mannochmore opened up. It was a result of Diageo owned, and it was a result of the huge demand for whiskey at the time. So a lot of Mannochmore goes into blends such as Hague. So yeah, it was basically get more liquid out there. Is why it was built. And yeah, it's one of those distilleries I don't know much about, really, if I'm honest. It's not one I've visited. It's not one I've seen very many core releases of. So yeah,
I haven't really heard.
No, yeah. So I think, as I say, most of it goes into Hague. But interesting dram. I tried this when it came in a couple of weeks ago and loved it. So yeah, it's quite nice to try Mannochmore, especially PX cask. Super sweet, super
lovely.
Yeah. So this for me was the Christmas dram. So I thought, let's choose one that is Christmas in the glass, and for me that is the one. So the donut. Is that me on the front, is it?
Yeah, it's Matt. Scrooge of Christmas, because you wouldn't wear a Santa hat.
I would have worn a Santa hat, but I didn't.
To be fair, we were a little slightly unorganised.
I know, we were just chasing our tails a wee bit yesterday with everything going on. So
yeah, but this is a well, it's a Grinch, but in the inside we've got a chocolate ganache. So we make our own sort of a mixture between milk and dark chocolate ganache. Nice. So it should be pretty rich, but it'll be a good one.
Yeah, I think this is
going to be. Probably explode as well in your mouth. So.
That's good. Look at that. The guy's looks absolutely raging, taking his head off. No, I didn't even mean to do that.
The faces are quite creepy, but
a little bit, yeah.
I know.
That ganache is lovely. Yeah.
It's actually probably one of my favourites as well. Aside from the jam.
Right.
You made it sound like you're going to see it off. You're like, right.
Right. Got to get the bus home. See you later. Yeah. That's nice. So yeah, 13-year-old. 13, yeah. One of 1,551 bottles. Non-chill filtered, natural colour, 47.5%. So
what does non-chill filter mean?
So whiskey has sort of fatty acids in it. It's just part of the production. And what happens is you chill. If you ever seen like a bottle of olive oil get cold, it goes cloudy.
Mm-hmm.
So the same thing happens with whiskey. So in the international market, it caused quite a lot of problems. So if a whiskey's not been chill filtered, so if you've got this at home now and you add ice to that, it will go cloudy. Or if I left this outside overnight, it would be really cloudy in the morning. So what happens is it was causing so many problems because people were ordering drinks, whiskey on the rocks, scotch on the rocks, and it was constantly being said, there's something wrong with my drink, it's gone all cloudy. So distilleries try and cure that problem by doing something called chill filtration. So what they do is they reduce the temperature of that whiskey so that the fatty acids cling together. Then they put it through a filter to remove those fatty acids. And then you have liquid that, like this, from Dalwhinnie, for example, that will be chill filtered. It won't go cloudy. There's a bit of a debate. Does it change? Distilleries that chill filter say it doesn't. I could not disagree more. Non-chill filtered whiskey has much, much more of a mouthfeel. You're taking something out of the whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
It is going to change the flavour. It can. It might get better, it might get worse, but it's going to change.
Mm-hmm.
Chill filtration, non-chill filtered whiskey, much more of a mouthfeel. They really cling to your palate more, and the finish is longer, I feel. I'm a big fan of whiskies that have not been chill filtered. Yeah. So keep an eye on the bottles. Some distilleries are really good at, they will never chill filter. And other distilleries, pretty much every other one, the big guys will all chill filter, to be honest. It's just that thing with customer knowledge and what their expectations are. It's like coloring as well. Like until you start really, really getting into it and getting really geeky about it, then you don't know it's not got color in it. You don't know it's chill filtered. As long as it tastes good, who cares? And I'm probably in the 1% of the world who care. Most people, if it tastes good, they're happy. So they're and that's fine. Enjoy your whiskey, and it's great.
I feel like it's something to say as well. It's like whiskey is to be enjoyed the way you like it. Like people get pissy about you should put ice in it or you should put water in it or you should only have it this way. But actually, it's however you like to drink it. Really,
not with ice.
Just not with ice.
A guy, so good. So I think James is that tonight, and we were talking about. We had a tasting here last week, and he said, what's your thoughts on water and ice? And I said, water's great. Like whiskey doesn't naturally come out of a cask at 40, 43 or 46%. So some people are like, don't put water in my whiskey. I want it how it is. That's fine if it's cask strength. But the reality is it's lots of casks put together, cut down with water by the distillery so it stretches their liquid and is more palatable for people. So I said, water's like seasoning for your food. You can always add a little bit more, change it. You might like more, you might like less. And we talked about ice, and my example was red wine. So I said,
I actually know where this is going.
So I was like, if you have 2 bottles of red wine, and you brought yours to dinner, poured it on the table, decanted it, freezer for 2 hours, and we had a glass of each, the cold one would be so drink, but it would have no flavour. Your one would have much more mouthfeel. You'd get much more. So James, he said, one of my other friends gave me a good sort of analogy for it. I said, what's that? He's like, think of it like your willy. Right? And he goes,
okay, this is not what I thought.
And he goes, a little bit of water might help a certain situation, but imagine ice. You'd be half the man, So, and I was like, I was like, you're not wrong. if it gets really cold, that's not good. So you're not getting the full experience if it's cold. So Is it past 9 o'clock? No, it's 20 to 8.
And you've got me swearing as well. I'm going to drink this beer.
Cheers.
I'm not cheersing that. I thought you were going to say, because I'm pretty sure the Spanish drink ice in their wine.
They like chilled red wine, yeah. I think, again, it's like, if it's like table wine, as they call it in Europe or wherever, and it's like €3-4 a bottle, then fine. But like, if it's this level and it's at 13 years in cask, or you've got a 10-year-old bottle of wine or something, like, don't chill that wine. That's just stupid. If you buy a €3-4 bottle of wine or a £20 bottle of whiskey, I love like whiskey cocktails. I love highballs. That's fine, but don't do it with this stuff. It's this is a waste of money. Right. No one's left the chat after that joke. Great. Excellent.
Oh,
We've got
God. What's Fiona saying? I can't read it. My glasses.
Carmore has a lovely afterkick. Nice with the ganache.
Nice.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, good.
So
Good.
it's going to step up in richness. I think drams 1 and 2 quite light. Dram 3 just total curveball. 4 kind of step up in richness. So
nice. Yeah, no, I like it. I do like this. It's good.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to think about what my favourite is so far. I think Pony is actually my favourite so far. The Japanese, to be fair. Oh, I don't know.
I think that's my.
Oh, the nose on that Nika coffee.
Nika, yeah, it's lovely, isn't it?
Oh.
And when you go back to it, and if you smell those two together, it's like you wouldn't even think they're so different.
Yeah, massively different. And it's funny, you used to have people who'd be like, oh, whiskey's whiskey, you know, like everything's, if you don't like one thing, you won't like any whiskey, you know, and it's different, they all are.
Totally, yeah, like, it's the biggest range. What are you laughing at?
Sorry, the way you said. Nothing, I'm just laughing. The way you said totally was so low pitch.
I totally, cheers.
Oh, this whiskey's going in my head. I should have had my dinner.
No, I mean, it's probably very apparent to all the viewers.
Well, it's Christmas. You know?
I know.
I'll start singing in a minute.
Oh my God, they'll be all leaving the chat if that starts. Cool. So if you want to number 5. Number 5.
Let's do it.
So far, the Nika is my favourite. Yeah,
oh, great. Yeah, tell us your favourites. Let us know so far what's number 1. Donut and whiskey.
So whiskey number 5. We always like to kind of finish on. I know not everyone loves peat, but I know some of you guys do. So we are. So I love Coleman too. Yeah, big fan. So Coleman is on Islay, northwest of the island. Islay whiskey is traditionally peated, and Kilhoman does it. They were set up in 2005, I believe. No, I think
right?
I think that is right. If someone has a quick, I'm pretty sure that is right.
Rob will know. Rob, let us know.
I'll bet you a dram of something that is right.
Can it be a dram of my choice?
Well, you're paying, so I.
Oh wait, no.
So set in 2005. I think Maccabi came out in 2012. So it is 90% bourbon and 10% sherry cask. So reference to the location of the distillery. So Maccabi is, as the name suggests, a bay. It's about a 2 kilometre on the western sort of tip of Islay. It's a distillery I've not been to. I'd love to go.
Me too.
They're very, very small, and they do a bottle called like 100% Islay. So it was basically like a farmsteading. They have fields of barley around them now. Production is super, super low. They've doubled capacity in 2019. I think they doubled their capacity, but doubling it brought it up to 0.5 million litres of alcohol. So 500,000 litres of alcohol does sound like a lot. Glenfiddich, Macallan, etc., all like sort of 15-ish plus at their capacity. So yeah, they're a much, much smaller scale. Which is mad. The soil compound in Islay. Speaking to some of the guys there, they say that if they dig down, within a foot, you could be on sand or you could be on hard rock. So to actually grow a crop there is seriously challenging. It's also so exposed to the elements. It is just, there is no protection. There's no trees on Islay. It just gets battered. So to have barley growing on Islay is a big achievement, full stop. And to make whiskey with it, even better. So this is classic Islay style. I say mainly bourbon, a little bit of sherry in there, but I don't think you can really pick up the sherry, if I'm honest. I think it's mainly bourbon driven. Percentage wise, I think you're at 46. And this is their sort of go-to. So when it first came out, it was a combination of 3, 4, and 5-year-old. I think now it's a combination of 5, 6, and 7-year-old whiskies. But yeah, just lovely. Just that fresh Isla kind of.
That smells like a meal to me. You smell the nose of that. It's like so mealy.
Mealy.
Like you could chew it.
Yes.
That's what I mean.
Chewy. Yeah,
Chewy,
yeah. Like, what are you having for dinner? Like, mealy? Like.
Well, let me get the donut and then I'll tell you.
Oh, well.
So, the donut for this one is a coffee, so an espresso and gingerbread cream. So yeah, we kind of boil it all together, cool it right down, and then whip it. It's got a wee bit of ginger nuts up there as well, so it'll be quite gingery and spicy and
nice.
And get a little kind of caffeine hit in there as well.
That peat's lovely.
I know what you know what I'm like.
I love peat as well.
My favorite.
Yep. This sort of cold winter night for me, peat is exactly what you need. In terms of parts per million, I think you're about 50, which is pretty up there. So
for the layman, what does that mean?
So ppm is parts per million. So it's basically a scale of how peated the barley is. So when you're drying the barley, how many phenols are attached to the barley. Likes of Lagavulin and Ardbeg, they peat to similar sort of levels. So yeah, it's kind of up there. You know, it's you're in Lagavulin and Ardbeg territory with 50 ppm. Let's try this donut. It looks great. So filling on top or both?
From the inside all the way out.
Ah, cool.
So.
Oh, I think it got from my nose.
It's definitely in your beard.
Yeah.
I think the ginger in that works quite well with the peat, actually.
I don't think I tasted it. I think most of it fell on my face.
Take a big scoop of that on the top. Yeah.
Right. You know what's quite funny? Like, because we can't see you, normally if you're eating in front of people, you try and make an effort to
not be like.
And there's probably lots of people watching. I'm like, it's all over my face and my beard.
I'm like in my mouth, the chocolate on my face.
But I'm sure it's relatable. Hopefully, you guys are in the same position.
Yeah. Hopefully. I quite like that. I love this whiskey though. It's so warming.
Yeah.
I just love that kind of peated warmth it gives you. It's just so different.
Yeah.
Love it.
A lot of people don't like it, and I totally understand why people don't like it. I used to hate it. It is the finish is peated whiskey has a longer finish than unpeated, undeniably. And if you don't like that, and you're trying to get away from it, it's hard because even now, 10 seconds, 15 seconds after, all you can taste is that peat. But once you get a kind of tasting for it, it's great. It's like coffee, isn't it? We were talking about this before. Like when you first start drinking coffee, you maybe have like lattes, loads of sugar or syrups. And the more you kind of enjoy your coffee, you kind of go from that to flat whites to espressos to actually enjoying the taste. Whereas initially it's maybe too bitter for you, whereas it's probably similar.
It's like olives too. When you have to eat about 20 of them before you can be like, actually, I quite like that. I'm
still not there with olives. I'm trying.
Crazy.
I know I'm trying. And I love the idea of it, like sitting there, a glass of wine or a beer, some olives, but I think it's the brininess of them.
I love that.
I think I know, and I love all the. I know. I wish I'd like them.
I think for me, the pairing in the last one, I think the whiskey overpowers the donut. I think maybe we have needed a bigger coffee punch in there to kind of balance that off a wee bit. Maybe.
Nice though.
Right. So tell me, what is your favorite pairing so far? And you have to pick one. You can't just say none to be annoying.
No. That's a hard one. I think, by looking at my board, I actually think it's the jam and Nika. I finished the jam donut and I've drunk quite a lot of the Nika. It was just so approachable. It was the donut was very, very, just you didn't want to leave it. It was great. I think Nika and jam for me.
Good. Let us know what you guys think.
What
is your favorite?
See, you finished the jam one as well.
I'm a sucker for a jam donut. I think I could wake up at 4 a.m. and just eat a jam donut. It wouldn't even faze me. I mean, I have done that in the past. I've been working since 2 a.m. and I'm like, I might as well have one now.
Breakfast.
Making them for everyone else, might as well have them myself. I think Probably the same. Probably number 3 was my favorite. I really liked the ganache and number 4 as well.
Yeah.
That was the Carnmore.
Yeah, it was, and yeah, you know what? I think it was quite a nice lineup. It was quite varied as well. Like the two light
whiskies are different, very different,
really different.
Yeah.
And what about you guys? Let's see what people are saying. Favorite of me was the Jam and Nika. Brian, yeah.
Jam and Nika.
Grinch was superb. Megan, yeah. Favorite pairing has to be number 4. Yeah, Ronnie.
Grinch,
Let's see, 4. Pairing 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mark, very good. Ronnie, favorite 4. Like 4 was Rachel. Nika and Jam was definitely my favorite. Jennifer. Great. I think so. Yeah, Nika and Jam's favorite. David.
Do you know what?
Nika. Yeah. So I think
we're handing it out to Granny and the Japanese.
Yeah, 3 and 4.
That's what's come out tonight. They're the favourites.
I think for both it's been and so different as well, like grain and malt, and they've got chocolate and jam. So
just shows you that you can't write off grain because
you can't write off a classic donut of jam and then something a bit more modern with probably. So that's actually really interesting because the classic style of donut is a jam donut, right? Yeah. And that's been paired up with a totally off the wall whiskey.
Yeah.
And then the classic style of whiskey, which is your kind of sherry, kind of classic Christmas, has been paired up with maybe a more modern donut, you'd say, and both work really well. And I don't think the more and jam would work, and I don't think the Nikan chocolate would work. I don't think they would. I think it'd be really weird, actually.
Eager to mix much of it. Maybe I might do the ganache Grinch with this one. See if it's
the Dalwhinnie. Yeah.
Dalwhinnie, yeah.
Yeah.
Just because the Dalwhinnie for me was so much sharper than the Paltney when I first had that. Maybe the chocolate will offset it. Let's give it a bash.
Dalwhinnie's lovely.
Did anyone manage to save their donuts and whiskey, or did they just fire on, crack on, and have none left?
Nika jam. Try the Nika donut with 5. Tasty, Derek. Okay, cool. Let's try that. So I've got a little bit left.
So that was
Nika with 5. No, I've eaten most of the icing, or most of it on my face. It's nice. It's almost like it doesn't really matter. I think that could go with loads of things. It's like the donut was like quite rich, but then as soon as that comes into your palate, it's almost like a refreshing, it's just like freshness, and you're like, that's lovely. Yeah, great. I don't know if it
start singing.
I don't know if I know it totally. Yeah, I don't know if it pairs with much or just is a really lovely. It's almost like a sorbet of whiskey. It's like super cleansing and lovely.
Sorbet of whiskey. That's great.
I love it. I love it.
Love number 4.
Like Kilholman tasting more like Christmas and Carnmore. Yeah. I mean, it is around the fire kind of style dram. Yeah. Totally. Love 4. Thank you much, guys. Got this for my dad's birthday and he loved them all. He won't be scared of Japanese whiskey now. Great. Nice one, Craig. Hi, Matt from Craig. Will you be stocking Dornick's Distillery first release? Favorite donut was for 1 of 5. Sorry, it's jumping up the screen here. Yes, we have been very lucky and we have got a bottle of single cask Dornick, which is like hen's teeth for any whiskey collector out there. Yeah, we've got they're 50 cl bottles. So we have 19 drams that we'll share a dram between the staff to get a taste of it. We've got it here. We are opening it next year when we reopen. We could open it now, but it just sit there for a month. Not to make a massive. We've also got the Ardnamurchan first as well. So and also Razzie as well. So we've got Razzie, Ardnamurchan, and Dornick. And we also have the new Ardnamurchan. It's not a single cask; it's a combination of a couple of casks. Coming in, so yeah, we'll be opening all down at the bar. Drams will be available. No bottles for sale. We don't sell bottles, but yeah, drams are available. Your drams look a lot bigger, Matt. Well, we were supposed to meet here at 6. What time were we supposed to meet here?
Here we go.
6 o'clock. We were supposed to meet here for.
I'm a busy woman, okay?
So I had to set everything up, and I did all the whiskeys, I did all the mats, I did everything. And you turned up all chirpy cheap at 22. And what did you forget?
They were only next door.
The donuts. The one thing you were supposed to bring.
I came up with a beer and he goes, "Where's the donuts?" I'm like, "Well, for goodness sake, they're next door." I thought you would have got them yourself.
Yeah, I'll set it all up. No problem. Yeah. So yeah, my drams might be a little bit bigger.
Oh, actually, I was thinking, how did I almost finish all of mine and you've still got some left here?
Old Pulteney favourite, Japanese Nika, Revelation, loved all the donuts. French Ganache, nice. Cool. Well, I think that's us coming up for sort of 8 o'clock, guys. So,
if you have any questions going forward, anything donut or whiskey related, obviously give us a wee shout and we'll hopefully and unfortunately you guys are gonna have to close for the next while.
Yeah.
After you're open till
open
on Christmas Eve.
Open on Christmas Eve till 10:30, and then that'll be it. So I'm just going to enjoy some time off. I think there's no point being sad and grumpy and miserable about it. It's what it is. It's for obviously the right reasons. So it's been a year of it, so there's no point throwing the toys at the pram for
at this point.
Yeah, it's what it is. We're lucky enough that we've got a small team here and been supported very well by these events, and you guys come into the bar and stuff. So we're keeping our head above water, which is the main thing. And next year will be a new year. So thank you guys for supporting this all year. It's been a big difference.
It's been so fun for us.
Yeah, it's been great. Really has been good fun.
It's too
it's
been how long ago we started this now. It's unbelievable how long it's carried on.
I know. So have a good Christmas, guys. Take care, be safe and all
Merry
that.
Christmas.
And which one am I going to toast with? I think number 4. I think number 4 for me. It's the Christmas dram. Number 5 for you.
5. It's gonna be 5.
Well, cheers.
Merry Christmas,
Merry
everyone.
Christmas, everybody. Have a good one. We'll sign off, and we will see you next year. I'm sure we can sneak one of these in. If it's in lockdown, who knows? You guys will be the first to know. So. Cheers.
Bye.